All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a massive, documented shift in human intelligence, one that almost nobody is looking at in its entirety.
But first, a quick question for you, and I want you to be honest. When was the last time it was just your brain and a really hard problem, completely uninterrupted? Seriously, no phone, no Google, no AI. If you're kind of struggling to remember, well, there's a very good reason for that.
Because that feeling, that difficulty focusing, that isn't just a personal struggle. Nope, it's actually the leading edge of a frankly terrifying global trend.
To really understand what's happening to us right now, we have to go back. We have to look at one of the most reliable findings in all of cognitive science. It was a trend that ran like absolute clockwork for over half a century. And then, it just stopped.
They called it the Flynn effect. And for 60 consecutive years, from the 1930s all the way to the mid-90s, every single generation scored higher on intelligence tests than the one before it. We're talking about a gain of 3 IQ points per decade. It meant, that a person born in 1980 was measurably smarter on paper than their parents. That line, it only went up. Until it didn't. Right around 1995, the line went flat, and then it started going down.
And it's not just dipping a little. A huge study in 2018 out of Norway, and this thing tracked over 730,000 men, found that IQ scores are now falling by a staggering 7 points per generation. Let that sink in. In just one generation, we've basically wiped out 20 years of cognitive gains.
And look, this isn't some isolated fluke happening in Norway. It's a confirmed pattern all across the developed world. America, Denmark, France, the Netherlands, they are all seeing the exact same reversal. The data is crystal clear. Something has fundamentally changed in our shared environment. The question is, what is it?
Okay, so the first and, the most popular explanation was also the most convenient because it put all the blame on genetics. But as we're about to see, one brilliant study came along and completely blew that idea out of the water.
It was called the dysgenetics hypothesis. And the idea is pretty simple arithmetic, right? If people with lower IQs have more kids, then the average intelligence of the whole population is going to drop over time. It felt like cold, hard science, and that explanation spread everywhere. But here's the thing. The Norwegian researchers found a fatal flaw in that theory by comparing brothers. Think about it. Same parents, same genes, same house. The only real variable was the time period they grew up in. And what they found, consistently, was that the younger brothers scored lower. The decline couldn't possibly be in their DNA because they share it. It had to be the environment.
The study's conclusion was so poetic but so powerful. The genetic potential, the seed, was exactly the same. But the world it was growing up in, the light, had fundamentally, undeniably changed.
So, if it's not our genes, what exactly changed in the light? Well, it turns out there are a few converging forces at play, and they're suspects you probably interact with every single day.
The first suspect is the absolute collapse of our ability to just focus. I mean, what's really crazy about this slide is just the sheer speed of the drop. In 2004, we could focus on a single screen for about 2.5 minutes. Fast forward to 2023, and that number has plummeted to just 47 seconds. This isn't because we got stupider, it's because our entire digital world is built on a business model of interruption.
And the specific skills that are getting eroded? They're the hardest ones we have. Things like executive function, sustained attention, working memory. These are the cognitive muscles we build from boredom, from sticking with a tough problem, when a much easier option is right there. That kind of mental exercise has become structurally rare in our lives today. Now, the second suspect, this wasn't an accident. It was a quiet decision. For decades, commercial bread was made with iodine, which is a super crucial nutrient for cognitive development. But back in the 70s and 80s, manufacturers switched to these bromine-based alternatives without any big public announcement, and the result? A 50% drop in American iodine intake, just like that. So, and this is a really crucial point, you have these three major forces all running at the same time for decades. An attention environment literally designed to fragment us, a food supply that's been quietly depleted of key brain nutrients, and continued chemical exposure from things like leaded aviation fuel, which, by the way, we used until 1996. But you know what? None of these factors, even when you combine them, tell the whole story. Not until you plot our decline on the same exact graph as the rise of something else, something that actually thrives on the very skills that we're losing. This is where the story takes a massive turn. Since about 2015, we've been benchmarking AI on these same cognitive tasks.
Just look at this progression. In less than a decade, AI went from performing below the human average on reasoning tasks to exceeding the level of human experts. The speed of that climb is just staggering.
And here it is. This is the big reveal. When you put both trends on the same chart, the story becomes undeniable. You have one line representing our fluid intelligence. That's our raw ability to reason and solve new problems, and it's going down. And you have the other, representing AI's ability to do the same thing, and it's rocketing up. They are crossing right now. The exact same cognitive territory is being vacated by us and occupied by AI.
Now that data can feel really alarming, maybe even hopeless. But here is the part that almost no one reporting on this ever tells you, and honestly, it changes everything.
The decline is environmental. This is the most important sentence in this whole explainer, because it's not written in our DNA, it is not permanent. The Norwegian brothers proved it, and what can be changed by the environment can be changed back.
Cognitive science points to 3 core conditions for actually reversing this trend in ourselves, and these aren't quick hacks, they're deep practices. First, we need to embrace cognitive friction. That's the productive struggle of solving hard problems without reaching for a shortcut. Second, nutritional correction, making sure you're actually getting brain-critical nutrients like iodine. And third, deliberate attention training, like actually setting aside time every day for uninterrupted, single-task focus.
Remember this number? 47 seconds. The average time a person can now focus on a single task. It's the baseline. It's what we are all fighting against.
But here's the thing. You just watched this explainer for almost 5 minutes straight. You have already demonstrated the capacity for sustained attention. You are already an outlier. That ability isn't gone. It's just untrained.
So this leaves every single one of us with a choice. For the first time in human history, we can actually see these two lines converging in real time. We know the human line is reversible, so the question is no longer about the global trend. The question is about you. Which line are you on? The one going down or the one you